All right, Wayne Bettis here, the founder of the Off the Tools podcast. I just want to introduce you to our brand new sponsor, directplumbing.supplies.com. It is founded by a former tradesman who has set up his own plumbing and heating merchants. He has an online shop, which is obviously at directplumbing.supplies.com, and he delivers across the UK. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the show.
You are now listening to Off the Tools with the one and only Wayne Bettis.
If you're passionate and driven and focused in what you do, people will take notice. You can achieve anything you want to achieve in life.
The excuses are not valid.
Welcome back to yet another episode of the Off the Tools podcast. Today, I am delighted to bring you the up-and-coming legend, Mr. Richard Crowe. I'm going to give a little intro into Richard. So Richard is a mortgage advisor, a insurance broker. Is that right?
Yeah. That's correct.
And he is a money master coach as well. I think I might have butchered that little bit of his job title, but I'll let him jump in. Richard, welcome to Off the Tools.
Welcome, mate. Welcome. Thank you. You're welcome to me. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. So just for a little bit of context for the listeners, yesterday evening, Richard delivered an absolute banging masterclass to my Off the Tools Alliance guys, which was epic. So it was a no-brainer for me to get him on the podcast, so all of the community in Off the Tools can get to hear and learn a little bit about what Richard does and where he's come from. So in a very short statement, who is Richard Crowe?
I think I kind of touched on this last night, because it's very difficult when people ask me this. It's very difficult to answer because essentially I'm like, well, you know me, you've invited me here. You tell me. But people don't seem to want to do that. And yesterday somebody asked me to do this very thing. And I had to sit and think about it for a few minutes. Okay. And what I actually came up with was Richard Crowe was an overweight, drug using, alcohol abusing man that was £52,000 in debt. Now he's a world-class mortgage and insurance broker, insurance advisor, fitness freak, partner, dad, granddad, and helping thousands of people change their money mindsets from what he's learned from his own experiences, delving deep into the places that people don't want to go.
Well, I think you officially take the accolade for best intro to who you are.
I have to read it, though. I've got to read it. I only wrote it yesterday. I can't remember who I am.
It will get more. It sounded fluent from my perspective anyway. So, because just so everyone, like some people watching, some people will be listening. So not everyone does both, just so you're aware. Well, okay. So where do we go from there? Let's unpick this a little bit. Okay. So it makes sort of logical sense to go in a little bit of a chronological order to the discussion.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell us a little bit about the earlier Richard. Like, where did you come from? What was your upbringing, and sort of what led you to, I think you said 50 odd K in debt. Let's hear about that earlier part.
I guess it kind of really goes back to childhood, if I'm honest, which I think most people's history, I don't like to call it a story, okay? Because I think a story is something that you are attached to, you're glued to, you can't get away from it. And I think your story is the thing that holds you back, okay? Your story can either be what holds you back, or it can be the reason why you propel yourself forwards, okay? So I kind of like to term it as my history as opposed to the story now, because it's part of the past, and that's exactly where it is, okay? But for many years, it really did hold me back. I grew up in a little village in Lincolnshire near Skegness, and my dad was an alcoholic, essentially. My mum, she ran 3-4 jobs at once, okay, to look after us as children, me and my sister, and also help pay for me dad's addiction, okay? we kicked him out when I think I was about 12. Okay. And I'll be honest, I hated him. Okay. Didn't speak to him for about 5 years. Okay. Mainly because I wanted to hurt him how he was hurting me.
Yeah.
Okay. And unfortunately, 20 years ago, he died. And when he died, ironically, he was living in a tiny old caravan out the back of his local pub.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. I think he was 56. And all he had to show for his entire life was 6 black bin bags of bin liners. Okay. Of possessions. And that was it. And me and my sister, of course. Okay. And so he was somebody which I never, ever wanted to be. You can kind of see where this is going. Right? Because generally, very often, what happens is the person that we would hate to be is exactly the person who we would end up turning up and being exactly like. And when people say it, triggers the fuck out of you. So, so what happened was, I used to play games with my dad, and I don't mean like card games and Monopoly. And when I was 17 and I passed my driving test, I said to my mum, I'm going to go start seeing my dad. And on a Friday night, what I'd do is I'd go up, drive to see him, have a pint or two with him, and then go out with the lads. And what I'd do is I'd bring him from work on the Friday lunch, because obviously he'd be in the pub. This was before he had like mobiles and stuff. So I just rang the pub landline and he'd be there, obviously. Okay.
For our younger listeners, a landline is our phone that's attached to the wall in a house.
That's right. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. And I'd tell him and say, right, I'll come and see you later on. Right. And then do you know what I'd used to do? I'd just not go.
Right. Just to sort of give him a taste of his own medicine. Is that right?
Yeah, because he weren't there for me as a kid.
Yeah.
Right. I feel awful saying this. Okay. But that's what I used to do. A 17-year-old young man, I'd ring him up, tell him I was going, and then just not go. I wouldn't ring him and tell him I weren't going. I knew he'd be sat there all night waiting for me to go, and then he'd be disappointed. That's a horrible thing to do. Okay. But
at the time, I suppose it was just your way of coping.
Sweet revenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
But is it? But is it? Because here's the thing. You know, if I give you, for those that aren't watching, if I give you this iPhone as a gift, Wayne, okay, who owns the iPhone?
Technically, once you give it to me, it's mine.
Yeah, absolutely. If I offer and give you the iPhone and you say, no, Rich, I don't want it, who owns the iPhone?
You.
Yeah. Well, anger is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Anger belongs to the person that accepts it. Okay.
That's a very powerful notion there, definitely.
Absolutely. Okay. So if you are willing to accept and own the anger, you are stuck with it. Like the iPhone. And I was a very, very angry young man. Not that I was go around and have fights or anything like that. I wasn't that type of angry. It was just towards my dad. Okay. And what kind of stuck with me, and I'll come back to this later on when I talk about what happened with Paul Moore. Okay. So just remind me to go back if I forget, because it's quite important. So then my dad died. I was a young dad myself. Okay. At 21, I think my son came along. I think I was 22 just when he came along. And moving on a few years, it was apparent his mum wasn't looking after him in an appropriate manner. Let's just say that. Let's not go into details. Okay. Ended up being a court case of which I won. So I was 24 at this point. So I've gone from 20 odd grand in the bank, you know, I was a saver, to buying a house, spending 30,000 on a court case. Okay, this 20 years ago. Okay, 19 years ago it was in March. 20,000 in legal fees, 10,000 on a deposit for the house I'm still in. 30 grand 19 years ago, just to protect your son. I say just to protect your son. I mean, it's obviously a big thing.
So you won. You took full custody, did you?
Yes. Yeah.
At 24, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So I had been living at my mum's, 20 grand in the bank, no rent. Okay. Good time at a weekend, stuff like that. Good life. Not really any outgoings. Hence why I was a good saver. To then being a dad, full time, custody, no maintenance or help from the mum, huge court fees, loans, house to run, house to furnish. Life fucking changed considerably. And this was what? 3 months earlier, my dad had died. Okay. So at a time when potentially I should have been grieving my dad, I was thrown into this situation where my son wasn't being looked after appropriately. And then from March to June, I moved into this house on July the 31st. Okay, so approximately 7 months after my dad died, court case, 30 grand, bought a house, full-time dad, debts. Do you know what I mean? It was complete swing around.
Yeah, in such a short period of time, man.
Yeah. And it was a hugely stressful time. And the thing is, this should have been a time where I stepped up, okay, became everything that my dad wasn't. Which in my opinion, I was doing amazing because I'd done all these things. And actually what happened was I just totally spiraled out of control, went off the rails. Instead of, doing what I should have done, started doing drugs, drinking all heavily, going out all the time, and essentially spending money I didn't have anymore on things I didn't really need to impress people that didn't even really like me. Okay. And fairly quickly, from, say, over a period of about 5 years, I found myself in £52,000 worth of debt. Okay. And the majority of that money was spent going up my nose, in the pub, going out, doing things I shouldn't. And then that's not just the debt. Okay. That's I was earning great money at the time as well. Okay. So things 2005, 74 grand.
So not only were you pissing that up the wall, you were overspending what was a fantastic amount of money anyway.
Mate, fucking hugely, massively. And
was you, sorry to interject there, was you in the financial sector back then?
I was working for a multinational insurance company.
Okay.
And the issue was I was a bloody amazing at it. Okay. So I got very well rewarded financially. I was one of the top people in the entire of Europe. I got nominated for annual awards for Europe. I broke records in this company that I smashed 100-year-old records. So I was a high performer, yet I was borderline addiction on certain things. And the ethos within this company was we've got all these staff who's performing, rather than saying, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to train the people at the bottom to make them better. All they do is go, Rich, you're amazing. We need this from you. So my targets were higher and higher and higher and higher. Okay. So essentially I ended up working 6-day weeks. And then on the 7th day, I had all my admin to do. And I tolerated this and pulled with this for quite a lot of years, actually. And then when I was 31, I just had enough. I dropped the job. I just went, bosh, there you go, I'm out. And I went and opened a gym, actually. And I had that for 10 years. I only sold that about 3 and a bit years ago. Okay. I got injured. I actually went into a debt plan as well. Okay. So I went into this debt plan for 52 grand. And a debt plan is where you actually promise to pay the whole lot back. So it's not like an IVA where it's wiped off, you pay a percentage for 5 years. It's not like bankruptcy where the whole lot is gone. You basically say, I'm a fucking dick. All right. Stop charging me interest and I'll pay you the whole lot.
Yeah.
And the reason why I did that was because I was in the gym at this point, and I always knew that I was good in the financial industry. I'd just fallen out with it at that moment.
Yeah.
I didn't know how the gym was going to go. So I'd kind of made the decision that I didn't want to cut ties with the financial industry. So I settled my debt in a way that would not get me disbarred from it. Because if you go bankrupt or in an IVA, you can never work in the financial industry again.
And is that carte blanche? Like no leeway. That's it. It's done.
Yeah, that's it.
The line's crossed. Right.
Yeah,
okay. Wow.
That's it. You're gone.
Shit. So you were risking a lot, accumulating that debt, then knowing that potentially like that was a closed door if you had fallen the wrong side of it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then when I was about 32, and I was like, I've got to sort this shit out. So that's why I went into the debt plan. And the gym, I loved the gym. I was just probably a bit of a shit gym owner, if I'm honest. I weren't the best businessman.
So was you a PT?
I owned the gym. I actually created the gym from nothing. Okay. And I invested a lot of money into it.
Okay.
I didn't get a great return, and there's a reason for that. Okay. My money mindset, was that I was not worth it. I was not enough. Okay. And when we have this money block, is what they're called. Okay. We have certain money blocks. So we can tell people that have money blocks by the language that they use. Okay. So, there's a common quote, money is the root of all evil. Okay. Well, lack of money is the root of all evil, because if you haven't got enough money, right, that's when you do things that would be considered morally bad, because you're in a position where you have potentially no choice. Well, the lack of money being the root of all evil is completely different to money is the root of all evil.
I hate that phrase. Absolutely hate it.
It's a terrible phrase. Yeah. Because guess what? Right? If someone's a dick and they have more money, right, they're going to be a bigger dick.
100%.
Right? If you've got someone who's a good person, they're actually going to do good things with that money.
The same money funds a terrorist that funds someone 100%. That's a Samaritan. It's still the same principle, same thing in their hand, isn't
Correct. It? Correct. And if you think about it logically, man has been killing each other from the beginning of time. Okay, from caveman times, man killed each other. They didn't have money then. Didn't stop them killing each other. Right? Evil is the root of all evil. Okay, and that's it. But, there might be things like money doesn't grow on trees. All of these things, you're putting a block on money coming to you. Okay. The biggest thing is people want more money. Okay. They don't understand the wanting of more money is going to bring them exactly that. And I don't mean money. It's going to bring them the wanting of more money, which therefore means they're in a place of lacking forever. Okay. Because if you're wanting something, it only means that you haven't got enough. Okay. More only comes to enough. Okay. And that's pretty powerful.
It is. And I literally 100%, I agree. I smiled as you were saying it because I'm looking at a sticker. Right. I'm looking at two things here. You lot can't see. Sorry. I'm not spinning the camera around. But one was from a quit smoking course. And that phrase, I want a cigarette, is the killer, because then you feel like you're missing one. You're missing something if you want it. And so that just really hit home to me. That just reminded me of all that. And the other thing I'm looking at is a pretend check of what I want to be earning a month. And it's sitting there proud. And I'll maybe share a bit later when a story where I've used this technique before. So
Jim Carrey did that.
Yes, probably where I heard it on a podcast somewhere years ago, and I actually used it to get myself out of debt. But anyway, this isn't about me. This is about you. So let's carry on, Richard. Sorry, man.
So when I was 35, I was really building a good name in the PT world. I was doing online coaching before anybody else. Okay, so this is I'm 44 now. So we're going back 9 years ago, and I was doing online coaching. I had clients in Australia, Canada, stuff like that. It was crazy. And it was really building some momentum. Okay, I was following a protocol of intermittent fasting and the lean gains protocol. So there's no cardio. I was training 3 times a week. I was doing actually about 2.5 hours training a week. I looked phenomenal, 0 cardio, 2 meals a day, right? And people, it blew their minds. They couldn't believe it. And I was getting people from all over the world coming to me. And then I was strong as an ox as well. I think I was benching, there's videos on Facebook, I was benching 152K for 8 reps, right? It's not just 1 rep max. I'm just lifting good, heavy weights.
Yeah.
And I was 12 stone 12, right? So I weren't even big, but I was strong. And that came and bit me in the ass because I tore my shoulder. Okay. I had to have 2 operations on it. The downside was, everybody thought I was 35 and they were like, "You're good." I'm like, "Fucking not. I'm in bits." Like, yeah, we would, an old person with this. I'm not old. I'm 35 and I own a gym. This isn't helpful. In the end, I had to go private, and it took 3 years to get to that point. So I became pretty depressed because you imagine being in owning a sweet shop and being told that you're diabetic and can't eat sweets.
Yeah. Not the best scenario to be in, is it?
No, not at all, man. So that was the thing, is I was in this, gym watching people do what I wanted to do. And I got pretty depressed, real bad. And I ended up, one of my friends was a mortgage advisor, and he actually persuaded me to go and work with him, and he'd train me up. Okay, so I went and did all my exams. Got qualified, and I thought, remove myself from the gym environment. I had staff. I could do the mortgages for a year, earn some money. Then when I'm better, I'll go back to the gym. Naturally, the mortgages started off pretty well. Okay, I was earning good money. I couldn't warrant going back to the gym. So I stayed in the mortgages, and I got to a point where I was about 15 grand away from paying off my debt plan. Okay, so we're going back 5 years ago now. And in between, I'd found this strategy of how to manage my money. Okay, because money is very psychological, it's very emotional. So what I try and do is I remove the emotion of money. Okay, same with food. If you can remove the emotions, okay, then you become pretty powerful. Okay, and how you do that is by having systems and processes in place. Okay, so I'd been using what is now called my 5-pot money formula. I didn't know what it was. I just made it up as I was going along. And I toyed with different things and found what worked for me. And then what happened was, this company I was working for, they had their permissions removed. They owed me around about 15 to 20 grand. So in my head, okay, I owed 15. I was months away from being debt free, which for me was huge. But then they had their permissions removed, which means they can't trade. That is very, very bad.
Okay.
Being associated with them was very, very bad. Okay. The fact that I then had to declare I was associated with them, and I was still in a debt plan, because that 15, 20 grand that they owed me disappeared.
Well, coming back. Yeah.
Okay. So I lost that. So I'm months away from being clear of debt after all the problems I'd had. And all of a sudden, I'm back to square one, and I was suffering again. And I couldn't work in the mortgages for a year. Okay. And
as a consequence of being associated with that, like a suspension, so to speak. Is that what it was?
Well, no, not really. It was more the fact how they see it is if shit travels down. So if the top of a company is terrible, the people at the bottom are going to be terrible.
Yeah.
So via association, they don't really want to kind of be with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Plus, then when you go, I work for this company that had their permissions removed. Oh, and by the way, I'm in a debt plan.
Yeah.
Okay. It don't really.
Yeah. It's not setting you up for success, is it?
Nah. And after a year, so I'm then 39. Okay. And I've got my mum has bought my house off me.
Wow.
She's had to buy my house off me, right? She's then rented it back to me. I couldn't make the rental payments. She's also paying my car on finance. So I was months away from being debt free, and all of a sudden, I can't work for a year. Okay, I'm 15 grand away. Within a year, I'm back up to 25. I was months away from being debt free. A year later, I'm like 25 grand in again. Right, it's unbelievable.
I bet emotionally that was quite difficult to accept as well. It's like having that fucking carrot so close, like
yeah. And it was definitely a why does this happen to me moment. Always happens to me, victim mode and everything like that. So then I got an opportunity. This company actually took a chance on me. Okay, I told them everything. I was dead honest. They said, right, we need references back. We need to check because this doesn't, you seem very genuine, but we've heard stories often enough. We need to do a background check.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's fine. Do whatever you need to do. I'll put you in touch with whoever you want to be in touch with. And this network, they're called the Right Mortgage Network. Okay, they came back and they were delighted because they actually rang me up. I didn't realize at the time, but it was the owner's wife, and a network is a huge thing, right? And I'd been communicating with the owner's wife, and she was buzzing. She rang me up and she said, everything's come back, checked out. Okay, fill out an application. So I filled this application out, rang her up and said, how do you want me to send this? She went, post it or email. I said, hold on a minute. I said, I want to bring it to you. What are you doing on Friday? She was like, what do you mean? You live 4 hours away. I said, well, that's my problem to deal with. Can you give me 1 hour on Friday? And she went, yeah. So I drove over to Birmingham, had an hour with her. And she was like, why have you done this? And I said, because this is just these are bits of paper with words on. Okay. I want you to meet the real me.
Yeah.
Okay. And she was like, do you know what? Nobody's ever done that. And she was like, wow. I love you. You're brilliant. And they took me on.
Amazing.
They took me on. And I'm like, finally, things are starting to go my way. I then really started to drill down on my money and pay the debt off. Okay, so I was living on very little, but squaring off the debt. And what happened was people would come to me and they'd basically be shit with the money. And I'd explain and go, I've got this thing, right? You're fucking shit with money. Let me show you. I won't charge you. I'm not interested in that. It's just I'm in a debt plan too. And then they'd be like, oh, he's not just telling us off. And that would put them at ease. And then I'd explain to them this strategy that I use just on an A4 bit of paper. And then 6 months down the line, people would come back to me and go, this is amazing. You've changed our lives. And one client couple I mentioned last night up the road, they paid off all their debts. And then they went to America, all paid for, sending me pictures. It was unreal. I'm thinking, wow, I'm having an effect on people. That fills me up. I love that. So I just kept on offering it to folk. And that was it, really. Then in March, 3 years ago, as of now, what was really weird was as my business started getting better and really, profiting and doing well, the worse I felt. Okay, it was bizarre. And I actually ended up suicidal. I'd had enough. I was still in debt. I was still plugging away, but it was like I was just tired. I'd had enough. And I'd wake up in the morning, first 3 seconds of the day, and everything was great. And then I'd just remember all the shit. I'd just be like, wow. I was 17 and a half stone at this point. Drinking, doing drugs, staying up all night, and then wondering why I felt shit.
Why you had no energy and
I had no energy, but the problem was always other people. People are knobheads.
Yep, never yourself, is it?
No, it's never me. And I ended up working. I met Paul Moore at a charity do in Skegness. Paul came across. Me and my son, we weren't getting on one bit. We obviously at this point he's 18. Okay.
So just for a bit of context, Paul Moore is a mutual coach of ours, isn't he?
Yes.
That's how we know each other, is through Paul.
Exactly, yeah. So we know each other through Paul. And I met Paul at this charity do. And I went up to him. I was like, you're Paul Moore. How are you? My name's Richard. And he went, "You're the first person that's come up to say hello." And there was Ricky Hatton, there was Dean Windass, two sportsmen that have had mental health problems. And he was blown away that I'd come and spoke to him. And I went, "Well, you're the person I've come to see." And I actually sponsored the event. My name was up all around the room. And my son came along. And I had free tickets to I sponsored the event, but I didn't give him one because I didn't want him there. We didn't get on by now, okay, because we were so unalike. We had nothing in common. He had started going out, getting pissed all the time, doing drugs, getting into fights, being a knobhead. So naturally, we had absolutely nothing in common. It's a bit strange, really.
Yeah, it's a bit
because I would
sounds a path that I've heard.
yeah, but I was like, we've got nothing in common. Inside my head, I was like, the kid's a loser. We've got nothing in common. He'd come to see me, and I'd be like, I don't even know why you're here. Okay, honestly, I'd be like, you're a dick. And I was shouting and screaming at him, saying, "Don't do drugs," while essentially then going, "Hold on a minute while I have this line of coke." Unbelievable. Yeah. And then I couldn't understand. We had nothing in common. We had everything in common.
Yeah.
Okay. And the problem was I turned into my dad. And that was the biggest thing. So anyway, we go to this charity night. He turns up. Within 45 minutes, he's smashed. By the end of the event, he's so drunk, he punches this kid, puts him in hospital, and ends up on a 3 to 5 year GBH charge.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. True story.
Wow.
Yeah. So this was a night for me to sponsor a good event. I met Paul Moore, ended up my son being arrested and putting someone in hospital. Okay. And this was a huge change for me because I could have gone off on one. I could have shouted and screamed. I did nothing. Okay. I said nothing. Just showed him when I picked him up the next day from the cells, showed him a picture of the kid. All right. And I went, "What do you think to that?" And he just started crying. He was devastated.
Yeah.
I was like, "You realize you've done that?" And he was like, Dad, what's going to happen?" I was like, "Out of my hands, mate. I can't help you this time. It's completely out of my hands. There's no point in me shouting at you because you're going to be dealt with accordingly."
Yeah.
And the irony was this was end of March, and in January he'd turned 18. So he was now being treated like the adult he thought he was.
Yeah. When in reality, looking back at 18, you know.
No, the fuck, man. Jesus Christ.
At the time, you think you're grown up, didn't you? But Jesus, you know.
Mate, I was 40 looking back going, I knew nothing. Right? But you think you do know it all. Okay. And ultimately, I started looking at myself and I was like, you can't carry on shouting and screaming because it's doing nothing. It's driving you further apart. You have to start showing. Okay. So I changed myself. I signed up to work with Paul Moore. Okay. I did his 28-day program. I felt amazing. Okay. And one of the first quotes I heard from Paul, I listened to his audiobook. Okay. And there's a line in there which says, "The king must eat first or his kingdom shall truly fall." And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, wow, I actually have not been looking after myself. Okay. And the thing is, if we want to look after other people, we can only look after them to the level that we look after ourselves. So if you truly love the people around you and you want to truly look after them, the best way to do it is to look after yourself first.
100%. My favorite quote is from Garrett J. White. So similar influences, and it's, "If the king doesn't rise, the kingdom will die."
Correct.
And it's very, very similar principles there, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's very powerful when you think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I did his 28-day and I started feeling amazing. And then he offered me his 90-day and I was like, I can't really say no. So I went into that, felt even better again. Then I went into his 12-month program, Alliance, which is where you sit.
Yep.
Okay. And I did a year in that. And what happened was I was kind of still a bit of a lone wolf. I didn't really know anybody or anything like that. And I joined this accountability group on WhatsApp. And it was like, from that moment, my life changed. I had a group of men holding me to account. like your guys, okay, which I think is amazing. It's great that the guys that you've got with you actually are brave enough to put their hands up and go, I'm not an expert. I need help. I want to do better. Right? It's an amazing trait. It's a phenomenal trait.
And it's sadly very uncommon. You know, so many men don't. I say men like because that's mainly who I work with and deal with, same as you. But so many just sit in the shit, so to speak, and they don't ever put their hand up and say, like, is there a better way to do things than this?
Yeah, because they see the shit as being normal. They don't see another way.
Yeah.
And then, for some reason, and I still can't really explain why, everybody started coming to me for help. And I just decided I was going to be dead open, right? And I did this video in this WhatsApp group. Everyone was like, oh, lovely guy and all this. And with women, I was terrible. Right? Out of respect to my girlfriend, I don't really talk about it very much. Okay, she knows, but I was terrible. I was awful. Okay, so it was drink, drugs, women, everything. Okay, and it was all for short-term attention. Okay, somebody wants me. That's great. I'll bang you.
Yeah,
which is great for a story when you're telling the lads. Okay, if you like that kind of thing. But I look back and I'm quite not upset, disappointed in myself.
Yeah.
But there was a reason for it. Okay. And I just started to rise in Paul's group and people were noticing me. And I weren't really sure. And I dropped this video in the WhatsApp group and I was shitting it. Right. I bared all. And I was like, these guys are probably going to kick me out. But I was like, if they're going to kick me out, I'd rather be honest. And everybody loved it. They were like, wow, thank you for sharing and all this. And I was like, wow, fucking I'm actually getting praise and recognized for telling everyone the bad shit I've done. And it had an amazing effect on me because the minute I started admitting my failures and my problems, I felt empowered. It was like that huge weight that had been holding me down forever was just like, wow, it was lifted and I just became free. It was the most bizarre thing. And then something big happened. My son started recognizing my change. And he signed up. And I don't know if you know this actually, Wayne. He signed up for Paul Mort's a free webinar.
Okay.
Came around my house to watch it. And he lives with my mum, actually. But he asked to come round and watch it. So he came round. I had an appointment up here on the phone. So I came up. We watched the first 20 minutes. I came upstairs, went down, did the old, what were your biggest take homes and all of that. And he was really engaged in it. I was surprised. And I looked at him and I went, anyway, what on earth's made you sign up for this? And he literally just looked me dead in the eye and he went, that's easy, Dad. I want to be like you.
That literally just sent tingles down my spine. I dream of that day when my children might look at me in that way.
But here's the thing. Okay. He was already like me. He was just like the bad version of me. Okay. Because whether you guys that are listening like it or not, okay, your kids will mirror you. And the question that you need to ask yourself is, okay, if my kid turns out like me, will I be happy with that? Because the one thing I'll guarantee you is they will fucking turn out like you.
That's a fucking powerful question. That is. Can you ask that again?
The question you have to ask yourself is, if your kids turn out to be like you, can you honestly say you will be happy with that? It's huge.
That's a big question.
It's huge. Okay? Because he was already like me. And here's the thing. I was just like my dad. Ironically, my mum is amazing. Okay? She's great with money. I had two choices. I chose the fucking wrong one. But that's generally what happens, right?
Yeah.
So I actually told Paul about this, Paul Mort, and I told all the lads, and I think I put it in Mighty Networks, which is like your private Facebook group.
Yeah, it's like a private community for Paul's clients, isn't it?
Yeah. And Paul then was writing his book, and he rang me up and said, Rich, out of the thousands of men I've helped, yours is one of the biggest transformations I've ever seen. He said, would you do me the honor of being in my book? And I'm like, still at this moment, I'm very much, what the fuck's going on here? My confidence wasn't high. I was still coming out of this. I'm not good enough. Okay. And so I met these BAFTA winning journalists. It was incredible. And it was like a counseling session. It was unreal. I actually made the woman cry.
Wow.
Right. She was floods of tears. And they took me to places where I didn't really want to go. Okay. But I'm so grateful that they made me. Because what came out from the conversation was when I was very young, I remembered my mum used to scream at my dad when he'd come in pissed and go, why are these kids not good enough for you to change? Why are these kids not good enough for you to stop drinking? Well, when you're 5, 6 years old and you're hearing that statement again and again and again and daily, you kind of sat there going, oh, apparently I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh, mom keeps saying it. Right. And it was only through this interview with these people that this came out. And as then, a year and a half ago, so he was a 42-year-old man. Okay, maybe, 42, 43. I'm like, I became really emotional because I've never gone back to this place. It was like it was blocked out in my mind. And I was like, oh my fucking God. Right? All mum was doing was just trying to motivate, change, inspire, action. She wasn't actually saying these kids aren't good enough. But this is the thing. That's not how the monkey brain takes it.
Yeah. You hear something enough times and it becomes the truth, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then literally as a 42-year-old man, I'm like, fuck, wow. This belief has held me back forever. And now it was almost like the final thing being lifted.
Wow.
I was like, fuck, what a moment. And all of this was done on the phone, okay, because it was during COVID. So I think I said I met them. I didn't. It was on the phone. Okay. So it was like 8:30 on a Saturday morning. And I'd put my headphones on and I'd take the dog for a walk into the fields and that because I didn't want my kids and my family and man's listening. And I didn't want to hold back either. So anyway, this book was published. Okay. I did a podcast with Paul. It went out. Had people from all over the world messaging me going, are you Richard Crowe? That was Terry in Paul Moore's book. I'm like, yeah, you Richard Crowe that, it was the podcast. I'm like, yeah. And they were like, wow, thank you so much. I can really resonate with you. I can see what I need to do. One of the best bits was a guy, messaged me. He's on my 8-week money mastery course now. Right? And he messaged me. He found me on Facebook to thank me for being so open. And he's now on my 8-week money mastery course. He's now taking charge of his life and his finances. So it's unbelievable how it kind of goes. And then I won Paul Mort's Man of the Year in 2020, which outside of anybody in Paul Mort's group, it probably means absolutely fuck all. I get that. But to me, it was probably one of the proudest moments of my life.
Yeah, and for those, I jumped in last night when we spoke about this, but I want to jump in again here because there's 200 odd blokes in that community. Yeah. And they're not just normal, 9-to-5 guys. These are hustlers that are striving to build and create. So to win that award, that's a big pile to get on top of, So it is. My hat comes. I tip my hat to you for that because, it's a fantastic achievement.
Yeah, and I've had like say 42 years worth of life. Why does this happen to me? I've got all this evidence that life is shit, and all of a sudden, people are starting telling me you're awesome and thank you and all this, and I'm like, fucking hell, this doesn't feel right because my story that I'm glued to is that I am not enough. All right. And Jim Carrey, I think I mentioned last night, there's a YouTube clip. It's about 26 minutes long. I think it was last night I mentioned it to you. It was, or probably.
I think it was on our chat earlier.
Right. Well, yes, it was. There is a YouTube clip with Jim Carrey. Okay. And he did this passing out speech at Anaya Verdict University. And he talks about the eyes. He said, we all think the eyes bring vision to us, that so we see what is out in the world. And he said, no, our eyes are our projectors. Okay. And our eyes project the story that runs through our mind. Okay. The story is for everybody called I Will Never Be Enough. And the main starring character is always you. And I was like, wow, he's right. That's me. And it was unbelievable. It really impacted me in a huge way, to the point where I'm like, hold on. Okay, what I see in my mind in here is projected out into the real world. So maybe if I start changing what I see in my mind, maybe the outer world will change. Fuck me, that is exactly what happened. And now, after a couple of years down the line, I've got this big evidence bank, which is actually far outweighed the 42 previous years, which were I was never enough. Okay, so we can swing this belief around because it is just a self-belief and it holds you back. And if you ask the question, have I ever been wrong? The answer is yes, by the way. Even if you say no, you're fucking wrong.
Wrong.
All right. Just because we believe something does not mean it is so. If we hold on to that idea, then what we need to do is start questioning these beliefs. Okay. And if we think about that voice in our head, okay, we think that we are that voice in our head. And I'm not fucking crazy. And I know you all know the voice I'm on about. All right. But we are not that voice. Okay. We are who hears the voice. So we have to separate away from that. And that's pretty deep, and a lot of people maybe won't get that. But we are not the voice inside our heads. Okay. We are who hears that voice. They are two completely different things. That voice is our ego. And as much as we need that, our ego to keep us alive, okay, it doesn't mean it's always right. It's like an overprotective mother. Okay. So we have to know this, and we have to play chess with it and thank it and say, hey, thanks for keeping an eye on me.
But I'm not going to listen to this one. I'm going to.
Yeah, but I'm good right now. I'm all right. I appreciate you. You're just trying to look after me and protect me, but we're good right now. And probably a lot of the guys are thinking, fucking hell, this guy's nuts. All right. But I promise you, okay, question yourself, question your beliefs, question your thoughts, question that voice.
Unfortunately, people don't slow down enough. They don't stop enough to actually take these moments to contemplate this level of conversation. So hopefully this will maybe make people have that little think.
Ask
about
questions.
Yeah.
Okay, if it interests you, ask the right people.
As Paul says, I'm going to mess up his quote. You know, if you want better results, ask better questions. I think that's what it says, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm rubbish at reciting people's quotes.
Questions are the steering wheel of the mind.
Yep.
Okay.
100%.
So I then find myself, lads inside Alliance were going, I'm shit with money. So I put my hand up and go, I've got this thing. Well, what is it? I don't really know. I'll just write on a scrap of paper. Let's have a Zoom call and I'll explain it to you. And these guys loved it. And then they'd tell another guy in Paul's community, and then another and another and another. And it's kind of snowballed. And I'm like, Paul, fucking help me, mate. Let me do a live training to everybody so that I actually get my life back. So I did this training, and everybody was like, whoa, that's killer. Amazing. When's the course start? And I'm like, what course? And they're like, you've got to do a course, Rich. I'm like, no, I've just given you all the answers. Fuck off. Go do it. Right? You don't need me. I've told you what you need to do. And I got bullied into doing this course. And I was in an Elitex meeting, which is Paul's higher tier. And they basically said, put a status on Facebook. If 3 or 4 people sign up, don't spend the money, give them it back and say you're not doing it. So I was like, all right, I'm in. As long as I can do that, because I don't want to do a course. I haven't got a course. I'm really busy. Financially, I do all right. I don't need to do a course. More importantly, I don't want to. And so they bullied me into putting this status on Facebook. Fuck me, 33 people signed up to a course that I didn't have and did not want to do. So I'm like,
Brilliant.
oh no, what's going on? So obviously I made this course and I said, I'm only doing one. I don't want to do it, but you're all paid me. I get it. And they all loved it. And I was kind of like, wow, I'm having a huge impact here. So I did a second course. I'm halfway through my third course now. Got the highest attendance. There's 39 people on this one. And the effect it's having on people's lives, it's unbelievable. I'm getting people telling me things, right, that they've never told anybody before. And they're then like me, when I told my guys about myself, oh, I feel so much better just telling you. Okay, because when we have these stories where we know we've been a dick, okay, it's like Will Smith talks about this in his new book at the end. Talks about the events that we don't want to go near. In our minds, it's like they are taped off. You know, the police, police aware, stay clear. And in our mind, it's like these events are taped up and fucking don't go anywhere near them because they'll hurt you. You need to stay away. It's bad for you. You're going to get upset. What we actually have to do, like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, I couldn't talk to you about telling you about my dad dying in a caravan. Okay. He died in hospital, but he was living in a caravan. Okay. And only having 6 bin bags. It was crazy. Okay. I'd just tear up. I'd cry. Now, because I go to the place and I'm open to talking about it, I've revisited. And each time I revisit, it's like tearing off a strip of the yellow tape that says, beware, stay away. Yeah. I've then visited that place enough times now where there isn't any tape.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm now free to talk about it. This is why it's not a story for me now. It's part of me. Okay, it's my history. It's not my story.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's psychologically for me, that's a huge difference. Okay, a huge difference between my history and my story. Okay, and yeah, I just now find myself in a place where if I look back a year and a half, 3 years ago, I was suicidal. I wanted to tap out. Okay, I'll be honest, I had it planned. I knew exactly what I was going to do. Okay,
It was that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Yeah, I'll tell you what stopped me. My dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dog.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you've not seen Afterlife, you watch it.
I
For
haven't.
me,
No.
mate, I think I roared at every episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I could resonate with the guy massively, and yeah, we put her down in September.
But
What?
in a way, she served. Was it a she? Sorry.
Mate.
She done her job. Do you know what I mean? She looked after number one. Looked after you. Yeah.
She did her job, mate.
Got you to where you needed to be.
Absolutely.
Oh God, I got tingles again. When you hear real shit like this, you know,
Yeah.
you can't help but just fucking get. I hope everyone listening is feeling this too, because you can feel that energy just flowing, that passion, that raw sort of like. I don't know how to describe it better than what I just did, but yeah, it's fantastic
It's
to
emotion.
hear. Yeah, emotion. That's a good one.
So, yeah, 3 years ago, I was suicidal. And now, you know, I've won Man of the Year and an incredible group of guys. Business is going amazing. I'm now in a position where I'm actually guiding other people. And this is huge for me because it was a 52 grand fuck up. Right now, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I love coaching. I love helping other people. And it's amazing because what was such a bad experience that I used to beat myself up for continuously, it's like, you're a fuck up. Right? You're a dick. You've made this. It's all your fault. I used to literally shit talk myself every day. Right. To now be in a position where I'm like, that 52 grand debt has been a blessing.
It's amazing to hear, because I had a similar thing. I lost 2 businesses in my my mid-20s, and it was at the time obviously one of the worst things that you can go through. You feel like a failure. But without that, I wouldn't be the man I am now. I wouldn't be coaching and supporting the men that I am now. And it's amazing how every positive has a negative and every negative has a positive, but it sometimes takes a while to find that the other side of it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think if you look hard enough, you'll always find the other side of it.
But you have to look.
Yes.
You've got to look, right? Because the thing is, I say this to people all the time: who's going to find more pearls, pearl diver or a butcher? Okay, the fucking pearl diver, because that's what he's looking for, right? So if you're looking for shit, guess what? That's exactly what you're going to find. Okay, we can have shit events. I get that. I'm not saying they're good, but there's always at some point something that will be a positive, because the world works in equal balance. Okay, without support, without challenge, there can be no growth. Okay, and bang in the middle is what John DeMartini calls love.
Yep. Very, very, very true.
It's a powerful thing.
It is, but you've got to seek it. You've got to go looking for it.
You have to seek it. Okay, you will always get what you look for. Always.
Yep.
Okay. You've just got to make the decision. It's as simple as that. Now, and it was interesting. I did a guest appearance last year, sometime. I think it was for Pete Shaw's group. Do you know Pete Shaw?
I know who he is. I don't know him directly. Okay. But yeah.
So I did a guest appearance on Pete's group, and we did a Q&A at the end. And everybody was asking different questions about money and mortgages and this and that and everything. And this one guy said, "Do you regret your past?" And I was like, whoa, what an amazing question. And like, nobody had asked me that before. Actually, it kind of stole my tongue. And I was like, fuck. Do I regret my past? I was like, fuck, great question. I was stuck like this. And I was like, do you know what? Because if you'd have asked me this 6 months ago, a year ago, I'd have said absolutely 100%. I said, now I'm not so sure. If you ask me the question now, I'll categorically say I regret nothing. Because the thing is, I've had some hard times, okay, undoubtedly. Some of which not caused by me, but guess what? The majority have been, okay? But right now, today, I go to bed at night. I can't wait to wake up in the next morning. I love every aspect of my life. Okay. So do I regret it? No, because I might have been that guy in the middle lane that never fucking left it, was never happy, was never miserable, but just lived a life of fucking nothing.
Mundane.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I've experienced some lows, but it means I appreciate the highs so much more. Okay. And I truly love my life now. You know, I've got an amazing girlfriend. My son, Charlie, who I spoke about, had the problems. He's phenomenal. He's a cracking lad. He's gone into building. He actually he got 18 months suspended sentence, $2,000 fine, and a 300-hour community service. So he didn't go down, but I can tell you now,
that was a pivotal moment for him, I bet.
Yes, he actually from the night where he drank me in Port Mort, he didn't drink for 365 days.
Wow. Was that to teach himself the control? Yeah.
Yeah. Of his own accord. An 18-year-old of his own accord did that.
And it sounds like you've got a good relationship now. And
oh, mate, we get on amazing. He's got a little boy, Teddy. He's 2. He brings him round every weekend. It's phenomenal. You know, I've got my youngest son, Harry. He's 16. So when it's the day when I've got Harry, there's Harry, there's me, there's Charlie, there's Teddy. You know, it's just like
lovely.
The whole Crow crew. right? And we just play and mess around, and and then Man's my girlfriend. I've been with her 2.5 years. She's phenomenal. It's like when we kind of tell ourselves, I'm not good enough, nobody will ever love me. And for me, it was like, if I weren't good enough for my dad, how can I ever be good enough for anybody else? Right. And when I learned to drop that, it was like the door opened immediately. And all I had to do was walk through it.
Yeah.
And through on the other side of the door was a completely different life.
Wow.
But you've just got to make the decision to walk through the door.
Yeah. And for some, that's a very tough decision to take, isn't it? It's everyone, there'll be a mixture of people. Some will be desperate for that door to open, and trying to find ways to open it. Others would have had the door open and not had the courage to go through it. It's correct. That is life, unfortunately, isn't it?
And you can say to yourself, I'm not good enough. Okay, I'm not good enough for that. I'm not good enough for this. That's fine. I have one question for you. What if you are?
Yeah. What if you are?
What if you are? What if you're wrong? What if you are good enough?
I always like to reference stuff that's happened to me. And when I first set out trying to be a coach in this industry, tradesmen are a cynical bunch, fucking that's just the way it is. And about 5 years ago, I started dipping my toe into this, writing articles and, doing bits, putting myself above the parapet. And basically, for about 2.5 years, I listened to a load of trolls that were, who the fuck's this guy? What's Wayne know? What qualifies you to do? So I believed their shit. I believed I wasn't good enough. Yeah. I believed it. And through various different events, which are people that I've spoke about this loads, but so I won't go into detail, but lots of things happened. And eventually that door opened and I was just like, fuck this. I am good enough.
Absolutely.
Or if I ain't good enough, I'm going to give it my best shot and try and be good enough, and just fucking walk through that door. And every now and then you get these wobbles, but pretty much, since that day, it's just been an upward trajectory. My confidence, my family life, my businesses, myself,
100%.
Everything just starts to elevate. And
it does.
You wonder why the fuck you didn't kick that door down 10 years before.
Oh, mate. Well, this is the thing. It's like I get up at 4:30, 4:45 in the morning. I'm in the gym for 5:30. And then last night, like with you, I finished at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And people think that, it's all right for you. All right. Cool. You work hard. I'm like, I'm telling you now, life was fucking harder before.
Mm.
Okay. Oh, I could never do that. It's too much hard work. It's hard work being fucking miserable.
It's hard work being fat, unhealthy.
Hard work being fat. I've just lost 2 stone.
Yeah.
Hey, back in May, this was the flip for me in the way that I was always in good shape, but the rest of my life was shit.
Yeah.
Then I got a handle on everything else in my life, but my fitness went to shit. And so fitness was the only thing left. And I want the full fucking pack.
Yeah.
All right. Because do you know why? Because I fucking can.
Love that.
Right. It's as simple as that. I can do and will do anything I want to do. Okay. Because if I want it bad enough, I'll find out how to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. I now realize, and this is huge, and I actually said this in an Elite X meeting yesterday. And everybody, people have messaged me and gone, wow, you've blown my mind. Okay. And they actually only messaged me this morning. I didn't even think it was much of an impact. All right. And I actually said, it was like, what's gone well for you this month? And everybody said, all their bits and everything. And I just said, I've been consistent as fuck yet again. And that was it. And they were like, okay, what do you mean? I said, well, I'm now in the 13 stones. When I signed up with Paul, I was in the 17s. Okay. I feel fit. I'm healthy. Okay. I've journaled for 600 days in a row.
Yes, what an achievement.
Yeah. I said it's just consistency. And I ended it with the lesson I've learned is this. Everybody is in a race against time. Okay. It's always like time is against us. Okay. Time isn't against us. Time is our friend. Okay. It's all about getting the right process, the right strategy, the right diet, the right strategy for your money, like I teach in my 8-week money mastery plan. Okay. The 5-pot money formula. All you have to do is find the right strategy and apply time. Because anything you do that's right for long enough will eventually pay off. The problem is everybody wants it straight away. Everybody wants it with a time limit. Okay. They're impatient. It's always a race against time. Don't go against time because it is actually the one constant in life that we have. 1 second is always 1 second. 1 hour is always 1 hour. Okay. We can't always predict the weather. Okay. The only constant that we can predict, apart from the fact that at the end of our time, we're going to fucking die. The only constant in life is time. Don't fight against it. Work with it.
Yeah.
Because it's huge. When you learn
So
that,
true.
you open the key to everything.
That's, yeah, so powerful. I just want to touch on. We're running out of time,
Yeah.
so I think we're going to have to do an episode 2. But if you get time in the future, because there's
I'm all
lots
for it.
more I want to dive into. But what you said there is about you wanted it all, and you can have it all. And the key is, though, you didn't try to have it all at once. You know, you
No.
took your time, you've addressed it already. So you've sort of come to the point where you were basically, the secret sauce is that you fucking showed up every day.
That's all I do.
You just fucking showed up and did what you said you was going to do.
I'm relentlessly fucking consistent.
Yeah.
I'm one of the most consistent people I know.
And I can, the results don't lie. Yeah.
No.
People can talk the talk. People can fucking write the right. People can fucking bullshit their way through, but results are fucking results. And
Exactly.
you can stand there with your head held high and say, these are my results. You know, look at
Exactly.
me. Look at my, not that money is the be all and end all. You could say, look at my checkbook, look at my business, look at my relationships, look at something like, Paul's F5s.
Correct,
I've got
yeah.
something similar with my lads called the 3Bs, basically to be more holistic, looking at your body, mindset,
Yes.
fitness, everything like that, business and balances with your family and friends and loved ones.
Yeah, amazing.
And you've got to be consistent in all of it if you want to have it all. I'm using
Exactly.
Garrett's little phrase there of have it all lifestyle. And the results are the proof. You can make the excuses up all you like, but ultimately what you do today starts to define who you are tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's that for me. When I understood that and realized that, if I want to be fit and healthy, I fucking have to do fit and healthy things as regularly as possible. If I want to
100%.
earn more money and have a better lifestyle, I have to do stuff daily that will help that. If I want to have a better
Absolutely.
relationship with my children, guess what? I have to fucking do something every day, or as close to as possible. It's
Of course you do.
too simple for a lot of people to think that that's how it happens.
And you're right. People do think it's so simple, and it really is once you get your head around it.
Yeah.
Okay. But the decisions that you make today is going to directly impact, the future that the present you, or the present that your future you is going to experience.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Something I always say to guys that I'm working with for the first time, I say to them, like, metaphorically, stand in front of that mirror and look at yourself, look at what you're thinking, look at what you're consuming, look at your bank balances, look at your relationships. That's what you are now. That's the truth, right? If you ain't happy, then you have to change what you're doing. It's quite simple, isn't it?
And the thing is, for me, I don't look at money as such anymore. Okay. Gone a bit blurry.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you've sort of like, it's
That's
trying to
a bit
focus.
weird.
I can see the camera trying to.
Yep, still blurry. I'm over here. For me, it's more about the the more money I earn is directly linked to the amount of people I serve.
100%.
Okay. So I don't actually think about money now. I think about in mortgages, how many people's dreams are going to make come true. In the money mastery, how many lives can I impact? How many children's lives of those people am I going to impact and their futures and so on and so forth? The minute I started looking about the number of people I'm going to impact, the less I gave a fuck about the money. And the weird thing is, the more I do that, the less I actually have to give a fuck about the money. If I do this often enough and more enough, the money's there.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. I learned this from Paul's January training. So for me, it's quite a new concept to look at it in that way. And basically mirroring what you're saying there. I changed all of my targets to how many people can I impact, because I know that obviously money is important, whether we like it or not. We all have bills, all have shit.
It's not like you do it for free, but
yeah. If I could, if there was a financial way where I could help people en masse for free, that I would love to be doing that.
Yeah,
but in essence, I did change the targets from a monetary number to how many men do I need to serve this year?
Yeah,
for me to do what I want to do, and it's quite enlightening to sort of you look at it in that way, and I quite enjoyed that sort of transformation.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
dude, we're gonna have to wrap up because I'm gagging for a piss.
Yeah, sorry, man. I've got to go and take my wife out for lunch. So we do a Friday afternoon lunch every Friday. So I've got to meet her at school at 1 because she's works at school. So for everybody that is more interested in hearing a little bit more about Richard, I'm going to make sure that he's got a Facebook page and a Facebook group that he is active in. So I will make sure the links are there. But basically, if you search Rich. Do you want to say the group name?
Richard Crowe Money Mindset Coach.
Richard Crowe Money Mindset Coach. That's a group, so you have to request to join the group. But in there, you're going to be able to see Richard and hear more about his principles and what he's up to. And obviously, if you want to join his courses and stuff, everything's in there for you to choose at your leisure. So, Richard, thank you, man.
Welcome.
I've just enjoyed learning more about you, and I certainly think that there's room for another episode because I've still got a few more questions.
I'm in
about some stuff that I want to explore about you. But I take my hat off to the transformation that obviously I've witnessed in the last sort of 12, 14 months. I think I've been around that scene, and obviously hearing the past makes it all a lot more better to see the journey that you've been on. So I thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for the invite, man. Really enjoyed it.
I hope everyone listening or watching has found value, and I look forward to bringing you the next episodes. Have a good day, everybody, and just remember, no excuses. Let's go.
I really hope you enjoyed the show. I just wanted to pull it out there for anyone listening that I offer business coaching, but also life coaching. My life is centered around something called the 3 Bs, which stands for body, business, and balance. When you work with me as a coach, we tackle all 3 aspects of life. So you as an individual, body, mindset, health, fitness, knowledge, education. Business B obviously stands for your business, improving, maximizing opportunities, elevating, making more money. And balance stands for for friends, family, loved ones, making time for everything in your life. And the 3 Bs is the core element to that. If you'd like to learn more, I would ask you to reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you might be consuming my information. Or you can email me directly at wayne@offthetools.co.uk. I'm here waiting to assist you to elevate across all aspects of life. Have a good one. No excuses. Let's go.